Joy to the world, the Lord is come. Let earth receive her King. Let every heart prepare him room.
Hello and welcome everyone in another exciting and fascinating episode of Simple Science. I'm your host, Dr. Adit, and I welcome you all in this very new interview series. I named it as Listen to the Supervisors from IIT. And my aim through this interview series is to address the common issues that are being faced by the aspiring PhD students, especially those who are from non-IIT background, and problems like they generally feel, they assume like कैसे PhD degree मिलती होगी, how many publications that are required in IITs, and research area related issues like, for example, what are the primary challenges that exist in the field of, for example, mathematics, biology, and other engineering areas like flexible electronics and electrical department and other related fields. So I thought, why not to invite and ask to the supervisors from IIT, because they have the deep knowledge and good experience of this area, and they have the right knowledge so that they can guide students in the right direction. And and I firmly believe, sir, that after hearing to professors like you, the students, especially those who are from non-IIT and NIT background, they will feel motivated. Today, we have our guest in this first episode, Dr. Shri Prakash Tiwari from Electrical Department at IIT Jodhpur. He is currently working as Associate Professor, and his journey in the field of research of microelectronics and flexible electronics is truly remarkable. He holds a PhD degree in microelectronics from IIT Bombay, followed by 3 years of extensive research experience as a postdoctoral fellow from Georgia Institute of Technology, Atlanta, USA. And he currently leads Flame Research Group, which is also called as Flexible Large Area Microelectronics Research Group, which is a hub of state-of-the-art research and innovation in the country and across the globe. And when I was thinking about this series of interviews, I could not think someone better than him, because he's not only very famous and globally known researcher, but also he's very beloved and famous among the students. Students loves him a lot because of his friendly nature and motivating behavior to the students. He always used to motivate students to achieve their dreams, and many of his students has achieved in their life tremendously. So I heartily welcome you, sir. Thank you for accepting my invitation for the interview. And it's my honor, absolute honor, to be with you today. And you just elevated the level of this YouTube channel and my efforts. So I again welcome you, sir. कैसे हैं सर आप?
Firstly, thank you so much, Aditya. So you are kind of IIT Jodhpur student and department student. So it's my honor to talk to you today. And obviously, by God's grace, I'm doing very well. So things are going well, and let's see how this interaction goes. But I'll obviously try to be very informal and explain whatever is possible.
Thank you, sir. So let's start our conversation, sir. So the topic of today's discussion, which I want to discuss with you, sir, is the what is the best way to carry out the PhD, and what are the best management techniques of the PhD. So my first question of this discussion is, in your experience, what are the common mistakes that usually a PhD student tend to make, and how they can avoid them?
Thanks, Adit. So wonderful question you asked, and I would add as like they are not common mistakes, but probably lack of awareness and something which we tend to miss. First thing is, when you get admission in PhD, and what you see, you have to do a great coursework, obviously get a lot of good grades and other things. And in that, you can say direction, somehow you miss about your research. So the aim is to get very good grades. You work hard, you try to learn, but then you forget that you are a researcher essentially. So that is first mistake what one does, is trying to get very good grades, but not focusing on what you do as a researcher. Second thing is, obviously, we do not take TA work very seriously, because teaching assistantship is something which makes you aware of teaching fundamentals, or also gives you opportunity to become a good teacher. And now, other than this TA, you don't get any chance to learn teaching. So that is something we keep
Right.
missing. We just think it as a duty to do something, but that should be taken very serious. So obviously these are the two things. Third thing is research itself, and finally your career goal. Obviously, as I said, research has to be started, not the actual research or experiments, but thought of research has to be started from day zero itself. The moment you start doing coursework, obviously you think what is the broad area you want to do. And
Yeah.
that is where, when you are learning fundamentals through these courses, you are also doing state of art research or searching something for research articles, so that you can connect with fundamentals with whatever is happening, and then you kind of also try to focus on what are the areas which you could pick as topic. And probably in many cases people know about their topic in very few months, but there are some who do wonderful coursework, but they are not aware of anywhere very close to what they want to do. So that is the first. So already you are delayed by 1.5 years if you are very much into coursework and not into research.
Sir,
Second
I
thing,
was I was one of the
yes.
victims of this. This is a very
Oh,
this is the point that I made the same mistake during my coursework, and it I remember it cost me around a year to find out the
certainly.
problem statement and where I want to go in the field of research.
Certainly, not only you, I think 70 to 80% of the PhD students, the first thing they want to pass the coursework, and that's where. So it's a very common mistake when people do, and it's not like you cannot do kind of searching for research papers from first day, but only because we don't take it seriously, we miss it. And
Mm.
obviously, I want to highlight the first, you can say neglect, not a mistake, which people do. Obviously, second one, which teaching assistantship, where you get chance to interact with the students, and you also act like a teacher in that thing. That is the second part. Third one, I said research itself. So you start talking about some area, discussing about that some area, and you also probably within 6 months you know who is your supervisor. So obviously that is the time to build a kind of communication channel with your supervisor, and you learn what can be a common problem which your supervisor is also interested and which you are also interested. So obviously all these things have to happen at very early stage of PhD.
Okay, sir.
Obviously, if you want, I can also highlight about the goals. Goals are obviously something which can always change in due course of time, but certainly at broad level, what you can think is where do you want to work, whether you want to go in academia and be a teacher, or whether you want to go in R&D labs or government agencies, or whether you want to go to industry. Now, if you are trying to go to industry, then way of doing PhD can be different. Then your things could be more like IP, patent, and other things, and also finding what industry is doing. If you want to just publish great articles, then your direction could be different. You just see what are publications in high impact journals and what are the loopholes where you want to contribute. So direction slightly change depending on where do you want to go. And this is something we miss many times. We just go about, okay, 2 publications we have to do. And we many times as a PhD student, the students go for the minimum requirements rather than trying to see what is required for exceeding in a particular direction. So if
Actually, yes,
you
correct.
just try to see these small things, these are not very big amendments, but small thought process. If you do, probably things would be much earlier and much effective.
Okay, so sir, एक क्वेश्चन और मेरे दिमाग में आ रहा है अभी in between when you were explaining the we are not saying the mistakes but negligence we could say.
Yes, correct.
So not practicing the communication more often, like ऐसा जरूरी नहीं होता कि हर बार हम supervisors like busy होते हैं वो अपने कामों में भी. It's not like they are always available to discuss and they can see our presentations. So so departmental presentations तो होती हैं, but generally we get chance only once a semester to present our work, what we are doing. So what do you think that lack of presenting our work in a regular manner, it cost us getting our dream job a little late? I would not say क्योंकि मिल तो जाती ही है, but it creates some hurdles.
Yeah, very good point. Actually, say it's not about only presenting, but what you highlighted is importance of communication.
Yes.
And communication, like your supervisor might not have that much time to interact with you on a daily basis, but obviously you have people around you. And that is where you have to realize it's you who has to improve your communication. And for that, obviously, you have to make teams, you have to talk to your seniors, and you have to be very open to get feedback. Many times as students, we think that, okay, this is my idea, I will not share with, and because of that, you can say thought process, many of the times we don't share our things, and that is the problem. See, research is something, there is nothing confidential, it's very open. So whatever you are trying to do, almost thousands of people are trying to solve the same problem.
Yes,
so that's
sir.
where obviously one is very official presentation every 6 months. But then in group meetings, you can always request your supervisor to have maybe bi-weekly group meetings. And you may insist that I want to present even 5 minutes, 10 minutes. And that is where when you speak, there is feedback, there is comment. And when you practice, obviously communication skills improve. And that is very much required for being successful.
And I
Whatever
think,
great
sir,
work you are doing.
it helps to improve your research as well, because of the feedbacks and discussions.
Certainly. See, whatever you are doing, if you are able to communicate effectively, so you might be doing very great work, but if you are not able to write it and convey to others, nobody will know what you are doing. So obviously, it certainly helps. One more point in this question, what you highlighted about career. Obviously,
Yes.
when you are discussing and also adding what you want to do, when you say, if you are, say, probably trying for an industry job, so you know already what are the requirements. Obviously, communication skills is one, and
Correct.
you are working on that. Second thing is if you want to, say, become a very good researcher and writing scientific papers, there also this communication writing helps. How start with writing, say, when you do not know who is the actual person who has contributed in scientific writing, many times you start writing with passive voice rather than I have done something. You say this was done, right? So when you say this was done, it was done, and obviously you are saying something was done, but this might be done by a team. Many times what is done, it's not only your contribution, but there could be many. So that's where acknowledging things and all those things. So communication is a very holistic thing, where the more you practice, more effectively you present your work to the people, and that also enhances the quality of PhD time and PhD work, what you do.
Yes, sir. And by this discussion, I got to know about the importance of communication. So, sir, my next question is like, what is the like the best management technique or best way to carry out the PhD, so that certainly hurdles will come, but ऐसा तो नहीं होगा कि दिक्कतें नहीं आएंगी, but it will make students face them easily and more intelligently and in a stable way.
Okay, correct. So obviously, for a PhD, it's not only about hard work but smart work also. So one thing I said, you have to break PhD into various goals. Okay. So obviously, one is doing coursework and passing through comprehensive and all the presentation. Second one is planning for your research. You start with a problem and start doing, and in the mid of the whole thing, you want to also publish. But then when you say managing your PhD, it's not about only completing the PhD, but you have to also plan, okay, at end of this year, you are going to complete the PhD. You want to do a postdoc or anything. For example, if you want to do a postdoc, you don't want to complete your PhD and start applying for that. Even for that, also you have to be prepared well in advance. Now, what are the effective ways for doing that? When you do some good research or something which you would like to publish, obviously you will write journal paper. But I would also like to highlight something, that you have to attend meetings and network with people. And meetings, when I say, it could be even conferences, international conferences, where you think your potential collaborators or maybe potential postdoc supervisors are coming, and somehow you have to showcase or present your work in that audience. And many times these are the places where you meet people. Obviously, you have to start writing and making, and many times you try, and in some cases you get these positions very early in your PhD life. When you, even before completing your PhD, you get a couple of offers if you start trying from mid of the PhD. Obviously, first half is more like getting a momentum to do things, but second half should be also to see what after PhD. So for example, I said attending meetings, collaborating with people, and also industry visits. Say, for example, if your goal is to go to industry, so search for industry internship. Go to industry, see what are their problems, try to solve some of their problems, not even 100%. And many times some industry scholarships are available. For example, even When I say for postdoc, there are some foreign scholarships available. So all these things you have to start doing from the mid of the PhD. And if you plan it well, first thing is obviously completing coursework along with knowing what you are doing, in which area you are doing research. Second part is obviously completing the basic minimum requirements in the area, like publishing in the area where you want to do. And third part is planning where do you want to go. So if you want to go to industry, probably industry connect or industry internship or something related to industry you have to start doing. The same happens for postdoc or other things. Either you are getting some fellowship or attending meetings, meeting with people, writing to people, so that when you submit your thesis, you have already 2-3 things what you can start with. So this is how you can plan things.
Even sir,
Yes.
one more point that I would like to add, with your permission, that even TAs that we don't take seriously usually can help. Suppose someone want to go to join academics just after the PhD, TAs can certainly help. One of your recently graduated students, with Vivek, he also mentioned that during his interview, I asked him about his recruitment experience. He said that when we are going to appear in the interviews of NITs and other institutes, they know that we are doing our research for last 5 years, so they are not interested in asking those questions from your research area. They are interested in asking questions so that they can judge that you can teach their students in a good manner. So they are trying to assess
Correct,
your teaching
correct.
skills.
Yes, correct. So that is where many times, as a PhD, as a researcher, people forget that the primary job of all this is to educate people, right? So research is something which you are excited about it, and you are very much excited. But on that topic, there will be people who are completely uninterested, disinterested, or even not interested, whatever you say. But they will be not very excited about what you are doing. But as a academician, they will want to know whether you have ability to teach, and that's where many people miss that. But if you have done your TAs well, taken your TAs seriously, any interview you go for faculty position, the first things which is asked is about your fundamentals, whether you can go in first class of your basic electronics and you can teach circuits, diodes, resistance, capacitance, Kirchhoff laws, whether you have published big papers, 10 papers, doesn't matter if you are not able to teach these basic things. So obviously, this is something which is very important. One has to take TAs seriously, teaching assistantship, and also learn and polish these fundamentals. Obviously, publication record is only for making sure that your CV is going to the next stage. But when you are interviewed, fundamentals are very important, and that one should not ignore.
That is very true, sir, because I have experienced giving interviews in industries and academics both after my PhD. So whenever I have given the interviews, they have only asked the basic questions, the basic fundamental mathematics behind the machine learning, and certainly those are we find difficult to answer at that time.
See, many times, I ask some very basic question wherever I ask. I'll just simply ask to students that you have a diode, and maybe in summer of Jodhpur and summer of Simla you operate it. Where do you get high current? Obviously, we are talking about 20 degree and 40 degree in Jodhpur, 20 degree in Simla. And many times, most of the students will go to diode current equation where they say that it is exponential to like QV by KT, and then they put T and then say temperature is increasing and current is decreasing. Obviously, you are very much into mathematical equations rather than the fundamental understanding. So many times, and you know that what will happen to the current, temperature increase, and the effect of reverse saturation current is high rather than the exponential part. Many times, these are the things which you are asked, and even basic Thevenin, Norton, and everything, and you are not able to answer. Obviously, basic math thing.
Basic math.
Certainly, it can happen.
Yes. So you correctly mentioned that we have to, like, if we divide the PhD in two parts, the first half and the second half. So certainly, if not in first half, then make sure that you have started thinking and working towards where you want to see yourself after PhD, and you start working in the second half at least. So that is even yes, a point also I was when you were pointing out about the internships. So I have experienced that many of the research organizations of the IT industries, for example, IBM Research Sony Research, Amazon Research, Microsoft Research, and even these automobile companies like Mercedes, Volvo. They are in the field of machine learning and computer science, and AI. They are offering internships to particularly to the PhD students, only PhD students. 3 months, 6 months. In
Yeah.
fact, अगर अभी भी हम Amazon की वेबसाइट पे खोल के देखें तो in this area, in this time of recession period, only internship jobs available. So yes,
Yeah,
that is
certainly. These are the opportunities which are available for PhD students. Many times, it's one has to explore. So once you get admission, and now with Google and even Chat GPT and things are coming, information is everywhere. Only you have to search and find.
search.
There
Yes.
are opportunities available. If you plan, I think a PhD is something which gives you enormous opportunity to explore in any direction. And that's why this is highest degree. If you see, you cannot see it as a technical degree, but it's doctor of philosophy. A philosophy where you have to whatever you have learned, that learnings you have to put in more holistic perspective, right? Where you think about broader things rather than only for very small things what you have learned. So this is a degree where you have to explore all the possibilities and see what best can be done. And wherever you go, you have to see how you can be real value and real asset to. So knowing technical knowledge is one thing, which anyway BTech students will very well do, right? So as a PhD,
Yes,
you have to make sure that you are more like providing a holistic knowledge to things, and that's where one has to be very active and not very complacent after getting PhD admission. Because if you are very complacent, then you will struggle later, right? So
yes.
this is the time when one has to plan things. One has to be very active. And if I recall my PhD students, I think I have already graduated 6 PhD students till now, and all of them, what I could say, most of them did what they wanted to do. So many of them had planned it very well. Some of them, obviously, it's not universal. PhD is something which, if one doesn't work, it can take even 10, 12 years. If somebody works 4, 5 years, is something which is standard. But
Correct.
then, if I recall, my first student Sivani, you might also know her. She wanted to work in industry, and she worked with Professor Hagen Clark in Stuttgart, Germany, for a part of her PhD, and obviously she is working in Apple. So she is doing very well. Second one, if you see Deepak Bharti, he wanted to not do postdoc in foreign places and other things. So he initially went to NIT Jalandhar, and right now he's in MNIT Jaipur. So his goal was very clear, that get a job right after PhD, and he did that. Similarly, Vipin Joshi was more into, while published papers and papers. He's at IIT Bangalore working as a scientist. 3 more students graduated maybe a couple of years ago. Vivek Raghuvanshi, obviously you have interacted with him. He got job in Global Foundries. Then later he joined NIT Nagpur.
Yes, he was
Ishan
my
also,
friend. He was my friend, and
certainly,
वो शुरू से ही बोलता था कि मुझे I want to join NIT and IIT, something like that. So he is there
I
where he
think
wanted.
Ishan also joined a postdoc, but he wanted to go in industry. He joined Global Foundries.
Yes, sir.
Ajay Mahto wanted to go near his hometown, and he joined a academic institution. Initially, he went to NIT Raipur for a guest faculty, but then near his hometown. So all those students had something in their mind, and they did very well. Obviously, there will be people who don't plan, and they will always suffer. But there will be people who plan things, and I see those things happen. So if you sincerely plan your PhD, it can be very enjoyable. So
Yes,
that is something which you would like to highlight. Yes.
yes. So, sir, my last question of today's discussion is like it's related to mental health. So, how students, PhD students, can avoid the burnout, and like how they can make themselves motivated, and how supervisors can help in that.
A very good question. I think in the hyper connected world where you have a lot of information, and one of the root causes of any of these things is, so obviously PhD is a journey where you have to put a lot of efforts, a lot of hard work. Okay. Whenever you talk about health, it's not about only mental or physical, it's holistic health. And health is something one ignores in PhD. And when your body is not fit, obviously other things will not, and the same happens with brain. So obviously in the process of PhD, many times we stop following a good routine. When I say good routine means you have to sleep well for a few hours, you have to get up, and you have to do some physical activity. It could be some extracurricular activity, it can be some sports, some running. Even if you don't get time, you can do some rope skipping or 15 minutes running, but that has to be part of your. And many times the cases where you see a lot of this burnout, or you can say not being well mentally, all those things cases happen when a person sits inside a room and not doing any physical activity and thinks about what will happen, right? And many
Right.
times nobody has control on what will happen. So why to think about all those things? Nobody knows what will happen in next moment, right? So
Yes, sir.
thinking about something which you don't have control of creates pressure. On the other hand, when you have free time, you just involve in some interesting, that could be painting, that could be writing poems, that could be writing blogs, and also writing. So when you write anything, your writing enhances. Second thing is, if you do some physical activity, your physic enhances. And the moment you start doing this, you start also being more happier and more involved with surroundings. And when I say surroundings, it's about nature also. The moment you go outside your room, anything in nature you see, there will be some learning. You see things growing, things moving, and not static. Anything which is static, there will be depression. Okay. So all these things, when you say, and it's not about mental or anything, it's the pressure caused by constant thinking in devices. When you say bias stress, what is bias stress? If you apply a DC voltage on a device for a long time, obviously there will be decay and breakdown. But when things are dynamic like AC, things are fine. So it's something which should not be given too much importance, because if you keep thinking about this thing, obviously you think it's a big problem. According to me, it's something which should be part of your routine. As a PhD student, you should work hard, obviously, but then you have 24 hours, and you have to also plan your day where, like whatever people do, certainly people get time to eat, right? 2 or 3 times you eat. You want
Correct.
10-20 minutes, 1 hour on your physique. And when you are physically fit, I don't think everything else, you are creative, you are writing, or doing anything, or even you are doing gupsup with your friends for once in a week. So whatever, but the moment you isolate yourself and think you are doing something great and you can change the world and anything, that is where these problems come. So you know that you are doing something which is very routine, everybody is doing for their career, and it's not something you should take pressure. Even if you don't do PhD very well, nobody will bother, right? It's something we should enjoy. There are basic requirements like publishing and anything, which will anyway happen if you're sincere. If you're not sincere, obviously pressure will come and nobody is going to help you. You believe me, it's only you who can help you. So individuals have to be very, if you don't want to do PhD, leave it. It's not something which has to be done. If you're not enjoying PhD, probably leave in midway. And I have known examples where people had left PhD in midway and joined big industries. I know personally, I'll not tell any names, but some of people who are very close, and they're leading industries actually, and on leading positions. And they were some people who thought that, okay, PhD is not my cup of tea. And obviously they chose a path and they are doing much better. So it's not something that you got admission, you have to do it. If you feel like it is putting pressure and you are not enjoying the work, obviously there are so many other things to do, right? And according to me, this career and something, all these pressures should not be taken. Once you have reached to a place where you are doing PhD, there will be enormous opportunities to earn the bread and also contribute to the society. Okay, so one should also think about more broader goals, the current problems, rather than thinking about very small things where one takes pressure.
So that was quite a full of knowledge and informative session, sir. Thank you so much for giving your time. I am very much confident that this will certainly help to the aspiring PhD students and help them to decide what they want to do and what they want to achieve in their life while choosing PhD as a career. So thank you so much, sir.
Thank you so much, Adit. It was a pleasure talking to you. I, in fact, enjoyed, and many times I also share whatever I feel like I share at various places. And I also am very approachable if somebody asks something, and things are something which should be enjoyed. PhD is a journey; everybody should enjoy. And thanks again that you invited me on your this first, what you can say, talk or interview of this series. So thank you so much.
And sir, any last point you would like to add before we end our session?
Aditya, I must congratulate you for this excellent initiative. And many times I see many YouTube videos and everything, but I don't find this kind of things happening where one talks about or presents this kind of experience to students. And obviously, students, specifically PhD students, they want to know information about how to conduct PhD, what to do. So wonderful initiative and these kind of things. And I wish you all the best. I think you should continue doing this, and people will certainly be highly benefited by this activity. So all the best for your this channel and activity what you are doing. And anytime if you need any other help from me, so I'll be more than
Thank you
happy
so much,
to
sir.
contribute. Thank
Thank
you.
you, sir.
Thank you. See you.
Bye,
Okay.
sir.
Bye. Bye.